So this week I want to talk about how to develop self-confidence. Now there are some people out there that naturally have a disposition to believe in themselves, or they've been raised in a family that taught them from a very young age to have a strong sense of self-esteem, how they believe in themselves from a very young age. But what about those of us who were not raised to believe in themselves? What about those of us who have been raised in a difficult childhood and didn't gain the tools on how to believe in themselves? How do you develop self-confidence? Telling somebody who doesn't have self-confidence to just believe in themselves is the equivalent of telling them to just throw a dart on a board. It's not providing a tangible solution or a tool. So this week's video, I want to give 3 tips that you can do right now to help you start to develop self-confidence relatively quickly.
You want to have better relationships, you want to feel happier, you want to achieve your dreams and travel the world just like I am. You want to quit your job, you want to speak up to your boss, you want to speak up to your family. You may need some more confidence. And yes, we can be confident in some areas of our life, and sometimes we lack confidence in other areas of our life. But this video is going to give you 5 tips to boost your confidence in the area that you need. And this is a very special video. I'm super excited because I'm partnering up with Eden Gold. She is amazing and she's gonna help me with these 5 tips today. I want you to stay until the end because there's another gift and announcement I want to make at the end. So stay with us, enjoy this video.
First tip that I want to give is this, and that is let yourself have feelings. So if we have been raised in a difficult environment, we quite often have been told directly or indirectly to ignore our feelings, to not trust our feelings, to put somebody else's feelings over and above our own. And this impacts our self-esteem. This impacts how we feel about ourselves. So what I would say is listen to your feelings and validate them. Don't put somebody else's feelings above yours. This is one of my first tips. And it could be that for years you have learned to ignore your feelings or to not trust your feelings because you're constantly putting somebody else's feelings above yours. So it might be difficult to even start to identify what your feelings are. That's okay. What I would say is get yourself a notebook and a pen. And when you start feeling things, whether it be anger, sadness, happiness, whatever the emotion may be, write it down in your notebook and let yourself feel the feelings. But don't dismiss the feelings and say that you're not entitled to your feelings, and don't say to yourself that somebody else's feelings are more valid than your own. No, listen to, acknowledge, and let yourself have feelings. My next tip is trust your gut, or trust your intuition, whatever you want to call it. You know that feeling inside that you may get that says that something's not right, or something's off, or something is making you feel uncomfortable? Don't dismiss that feeling. Trust your gut. Trust what your instincts, your intuition, whatever it is you want to call it, trust it. Your gut knows what's going on, so you need to trust it. We need to get to the point where we are actually listening to our gut rather than putting other people's opinions above what we are feeling inside. So that's the other thing I want to say is trust your gut. My third tip, and I believe is the most important tip that I'm going to give you in this video, is you need to get comfortable with saying no. You need to get comfortable with setting, committing to, and communicating your boundaries. Now, quite often, people who do not have a strong sense of self-esteem or self-confidence will end up agreeing to do things they don't want to do for a myriad of reasons, to include fear of judgment. They don't want to be seen as being selfish, or they invalidate their feelings over somebody else's feelings, or they don't know themselves enough to know that they have the right to say no, or they may say that they can do something because they feel anxious and they're worried about the reaction they're going to get from someone. They're fearful that somebody's going to get mad at them if they say no. Or they may feel as though they're just going to avoid conflict by just saying yes when really they mean no. So in order to develop self-confidence, you need to get comfortable with saying no and setting boundaries. Okay, so you're probably thinking to yourself, well, that's great and all, Claire. telling me that I need to set boundaries and I need to say no. But how do I actually go about doing that? Hey, I get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually refer to my coaching program, some of my notes, and I'm going to give you the tips on how to set boundaries. Now, just so you know as well, I acknowledge that you cannot say no in every single situation. You can't go into work tomorrow and just start saying no to everything. I'm saying you have to get comfortable with saying no in the areas where you actually have a choice, in your personal life, for example. Or maybe you need to set boundaries at work regarding working long hours, for example. But I'm not saying this is a blanket statement that you just start saying no to everything, because unfortunately in life, we're all obliged to do things that we don't necessarily want to do. Okay, so let me refer to my notes. So you need to realize that by setting boundaries, it's an act of self-care. It's going to help you build your self-esteem and your confidence. It's going to contribute to you feeling less stressed and less anxious. And the reason being is because you won't be doing something that you don't want to do. You'll be validating your feelings and feeling good inside. Just think about it. How many times have you agreed to do something you don't want to do and inside you feel a bit crap for it, right? So by learning how to set boundaries and by saying no, that feeling of feeling crap inside is going to dissipate. It validates your needs. By you learning how to say no and communicating your boundaries, you're going to learn to trust yourself. You're going to learn to trust your own intuition as to what feels right for you. And you're going to learn how to validate your needs. And then moreover as well, it's also going to improve your relationship with others, because with other people, they will understand where they stand with you. They will understand what you're for and what you're against, and what you believe in and what you don't believe in, and what you do want to do and what you don't want to do. So it's going to improve your relationships. So now what's the tips? How do you start setting, committing, and communicating boundaries? Okay, so you need to learn that you can't control other people's behaviors or reactions. So quite often we won't say no to things because we have a fear of the reaction we're going to get. But unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about somebody's reaction. So what you need to get comfortable with the fact is that you may have a negative reaction, and that is okay, because you are not responsible for somebody else's feelings. So you're probably thinking, well, how does that work in real life? You say no and then you receive negative backlash. Somebody might have challenged you or said inappropriate words to you or called you bad names or said you were selfish. How do you react? All you do is you stick to your guns and you say, I hear what you're saying, I appreciate what you're saying, but the answer is still no. And you don't provide a justification because you don't need to. No is a complete sentence. So just remember, somebody challenges you, you just say, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, but the answer is still no. And eventually with time, people will understand where you're coming from and will realize that they can't challenge you anymore because you have boundaries and you have set them, committed to them, and communicated them. Now, I appreciate that this is not going to happen overnight, and it's easier said than done in some situations. Try saying no to a parent or a family member that you don't want to go to Thanksgiving or Christmas or birthdays or whatever it is. It's tough. It's especially tough with family. However, you need to know that you still have the right to say no, and you don't have to justify your opinions or your feelings or your reasons. No is a complete sentence. So that was my 3 quick tips on how to develop self-confidence. So that was, just to recap, it was to validate and acknowledge your feelings. Have feelings and acknowledge them. 2, it was trust your gut. And 3, it was learn how to say no. Set, commit, and communicate your boundaries. Now, those are just 3 quick tips. There's many things you can do to develop self-confidence. So if you want more help with this, please don't hesitate to contact me and I can sign you up to one of my coaching programs, or you can join some one-on-one coaching with me. And just know those 3 tips that I just gave you, it takes daily practice. It's not going to happen overnight. As anything I say in my coaching practice, there is no quick fix. There's no magic button you can press and then instantly you're fixed. It's a daily practice that we all go through. So again, I hope that was helpful. If you've got any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact me, and please check in next week. Take care.
Right? So confidence. We need confidence in so many areas of our life, whether it's professional, in your work, in your personal life, with relationships. And sometimes you feel very confident in some areas, and sometimes, we lack confidence in other areas. For me, I had so little confidence when I think back upon my life, as a kid, as a teenager. I sat in the back of the class. I was afraid of what other people would say. I was afraid of what other people would think of me. I was afraid to speak up in a meeting. I didn't want to be dumb or stupid, or oh my gosh, I can tell you so many stories about how I lacked confidence. But I learned to gain confidence, because guess what? Nobody is born with confidence. We have to learn confidence. All these successful and famous people that you see, guess what? They were not born with confidence. They had to learn it. I studied confidence. I wrote a book about confidence. I interviewed so many successful, big people, big famous people, and asked them about their confidence, and they all said one thing: we had to learn confidence, because we were not confident. That was a common thread, and that's when I had my aha moment, like, oh my gosh, they are not just confident, they had to learn it, they had to take steps, they had to actually, it's a skill. It's a skill like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym once and then create all a fit body and muscles. You have to go back, and you have to train that muscle, just like you have to train that skill of being confident. And so that's the really brilliant news that I have for you, is that you can learn it. I learned it, you can learn it, and so many other people are learning how to be more confident. And so I'm going to start off with my tips, and then I'll go and hand over to Eden for her tips. I'm going to start by saying a quote. And that would be my first tip. My first tip is, I'm going to start with a quote from Coco Chanel, who says, "Beauty begins the moment you decide to be yourself." I will repeat. Beauty begins the moment you decide to be yourself. But I give a little twist to that, and I say, beauty begins the moment you start telling your own story. I mean that you have to start seeing your own uniqueness and stop comparing yourself to others. And that's what is happening so often these days, especially with social media. We look at social media, we scroll down, and we're like, oh my gosh, they're so successful and they have it all and I don't. And they look so beautiful and I don't. And you look at that outside picture and you compare that outside with your inside. It does not make any sense. I want you to stop comparing yourself to others' outside success. And that is one thing that I really learned, and that helped me so much, because I kept looking at, oh, and they have this and they have that, and I want that and I want that, and I don't have that. And every time it came back to me saying I don't have it, so I'm stuck. I just held myself back all these years, because I'm like, oh, they're so lucky, they have this and I don't. And I was coming from a place of lack, and I just looked at others. I was always comparing myself to others, always looking at the outside of me. And I realized to stop doing that and to take a look at me. Remember, beauty begins the moment you start telling your own story. And I started looking at me. I started holding up a mirror and thinking, okay, who is Rachel? Who am I? And what is my uniqueness? And what do I have to offer? And what are my strengths? And what are my skills? Instead of looking at all the others. Because guess what? On social media, you see all these beautiful relationships and businesses and achievements and rewards, but people show their best and they hide their mess. They show their best and they hide. All of us are equally fucked up. We all have good days, we all have bad days, but on social media, we show our best, right? But nobody's born with all this success. No, we put in the effort. So I want you to look at yourself, start sharing your own story, start looking at your own uniqueness, look at your own dreams, your own goals, and go for it. And the moment I realized that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to grow on YouTube. I want to be an online entrepreneur. I want to travel the world. And I stopped looking at all the others, and I'm like, yes, this is what I want. and I'm going to go for it. And I looked at my skills, I made a plan, and I started achieving that. So here I am in this beautiful location. Why? Because I grabbed this, I trained myself to be more confident, and I started taking the steps to achieve that. But that's another story. So stop comparing yourself. My number 2 tip is, and this is really, really, really important, and that's also how I gained much more confidence. It's surround yourself by the right people. I talk about that a lot. There's the energy vampires and there's the positive spirits. And okay, I'm gonna be really honest. I love my family. I really love my parents. But if I would only listen to them, I would have never been here where I am and having this online business. Never. Because they're lovely people, but they're very conservative. They just wanted me to be safe. Did you watch, by the way, my video about the crabs, keeping you safe in the bucket? That's a story that I want you to watch. But anyway, going back is your family wants to keep you safe in your comfort bubble. And yes, I had a beautiful corporate job and stay there, and you have good money and financial security and stay there, Rachel. But no, I want you to travel. I wanted to grow online. And so I started to look at people, that were doing what I wanted to do. I started, surrounding myself and talking to those people who inspired me. And those are the ones I want you to surround yourself with, to seek those people who are doing what you want to do. And go towards them, have conversations towards them. The more you surround yourself with confident people that are doing what you want, the more confident you will become, and you will notice that you can do that too. If they can do it, so can you. But if you keep surrounding yourself by people who are holding you back, that's exactly where you will stay. So really, really important to start surrounding yourself by the people that are inspiring you, that motivate you, that are pulling you and pushing you through, right? So your tribe is super important. Now, for the next 3 tips, I want Eden to take it away. Go ahead, Eden.
What's up, everybody? Eden Gold here. So when we lack self-confidence, we are seeking validation from others. This is subconscious, but when we don't believe in ourselves, when there's that gap there, other people's opinions matter way more to us. So we take what other people think of us as gospel. So what can we do about that? How can we build confidence in ourselves? Well, I believe it was put best by an amazing man named Ed Milet. He says confidence is the act of self-trust, building self-trust with yourself. So keeping the promises that you make with yourself. So when you start to set goals for yourself and achieve those goals, you start to build this rapport with yourself, this self-trust with yourself. And after each little success, you will begin to feel more confident in yourself and your abilities, and you can go on to reach higher and higher and more great things for yourself. So start small, have those small wins, and capitalize on that. Number 2, separate your confidence with how your physical body looks. Now, let me explain. Maybe not everybody falls into this category, but a large majority of people do. Because many people are not happy with the way that they look. And I get that. Maybe there are some sort of changes that you want to make, and that's okay. But there is so much more to you than being a body. And you'll find that the more confidence you build with yourself, the more you're able to go out for a drink with your friends, go out to a nice restaurant and splurge a little bit, and not feel guilty the next day like you've let yourself down. So we want to separate our self-worth, our self-confidence from the way our body looks, because you are so much more than a body. Number 3, humble yourself. I want you to just see what you can learn from every encounter that you have, every interaction that you have. You never want to be in a place where you're shutting down the ideas and the opinions of others because you think that you know it all or you know more. And you know what? You might know more, and it's fine if you do, but see what you can learn from everyone around you to continue to reach new heights and learn and grow. The best thing that I ever did for myself and building confidence in myself is educating myself. And although that can come in the form of a video like this, it can also come from the encounters encounters that you have every single day. Remember, it doesn't matter what anybody says to you or what anybody thinks about you. You can always learn from it, right? So if somebody judges you or is mean to you, know this. Hurt people hurt people. So what they say doesn't matter, but you can learn from it and understand that that person has a lot going on in their life. And so that's what you can learn from that situation, is we're all going through stuff, right? You don't have to take it seriously or personally if you choose not to. You can choose to humble yourself in every situation to continue to grow and build on this confidence that will be a ripple effect over time. So those are my 3 tips. Those are my 3 tips with confidence. I hope you enjoyed them. Eden Gold here, and I'm so thankful that you're here learning today. You're taking a great step to bettering your mental health.
That is awesome.